Hello and welcome to Who Wore It Better, where I review Raw and Smackdown back to back and try and figure out which show won for the week. Well, get ready for a lot of promotion for the next few weeks for WWE's upcoming event, Crown Jewel, being held in some place, some nice location, it doesn't matter where exactly. Why? Why do you care so much? Why are you asking? Well, you can't say Braun and Friends without Raw. It's Braun and Friends as they open up the show on Monday night. They hype up how they've shattered the Shield and they're putting over what they're going to do at Crown Jewel, how good they're going to be. Then the Shield, minus Dean Ambrose, come out, interrupt, and they say, oh, don't worry about it. Dean's not, he's not going to turn on us. He's not going to leave us. He's on Ambrose time. That's why he's not here right now. And, it's so funny because the heels look so right and justified in everything they're saying about Dean Ambrose, and Seth and Roman look completely oblivious, completely ignorant to what's like right in front of their faces, and they just don't get it. They are being portrayed like a couple of idiots, and these are your top two like singles champions. We then get our first World Cup to determine who is the best in the world qualifying match between Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins. I did enjoy the cutoff here where Drew is hiding under the ring with the apron up, and he grabs Seth's arm and just yanks it through the metal part of the side of the ring and hurts his arm that way. Really cool spot there. Dolph gets involved, then Dean Ambrose makes the save. He helps Seth win by count out. Seth gets back in the ring at like 9.5, 9 3/4 as Drew cannot answer the 10 count on the outside. So Dean saves the day. Backstage, Dean is offended by Seth's use of the phrase lunatic time to describe Ambrose and his tardiness. Kind of Joe Pesci and Goodfellas, like, what, I'm a lunatic to you? What, am I some kind of clown, some kind of crazy person? And so we get more of the obliviousness by Seth and Roman in this case. We get a pretty cool pre-produced promo from the Brothers of Destruction, and they're backstage with their dramatically lit space. They're actually really dug the production of this promo. Then we go into a women's tag team match as Nia Jax and Ember Moon take on Dana Brooke and Tamina. It's the first time she's been back on television in months. They say it's been 9 months since she's been out of action with the shoulder surgery and everything. I thought it was longer. I thought the last time I remember her being on TV in any capacity was like right after the Smackdown, women's Money in the Bank thing, and that was a year ago. So I don't know, over a year ago. So I don't know what those other few months are counting for. They announced a lot of names being added to this women's battle royal happening at Evolution. Got to fit them all in somewhere. It's mostly pretty much anyone in the Smackdown women's division who isn't Becky Lynch and Charlotte. But some of the names that really stuck out as odd to me were like Asuka, Nia Jax, and Carmella. Like, those three all had like really good years, and to a lesser extent Naomi, if you count the fact she won the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal. But they're all being lumped into this like battle royal, this meaningless kind of nothing kind of match. Like, is this Evolution gonna be like a 2-hour show? Like, what are they gonna put in this show if you've got so many women on the roster all kind of relegated to this battle royal? To me, they get Nia Jax on her shoulders, and Renee's like, we've never seen this before, despite the fact that Ronda Rousey literally did the exact same thing at Money in the Bank just a few months before. Ember hits Dana with the Eclipse to win the match, and then Tamina drops Nia on her ass after the match. They have this kind of symbolic, like, trying to eject the women out of the ring, kind of like battle royal style. Dana Brooke is the one ultimately who wins the thing, who wins the symbolic tossing out of the women over the top rope, and they have like no time to process it because Michael Cole just goes straight away to the next segment, like talking about Ronda Rousey and the Bella Twins, and so just kind of kills that moment. And yeah, way to get everyone over in this segment, guys. It's time for Ronda Rousey to make her way for the ring. The announcers put over the fact that over the weekend both Nikki and Ronda were calling each other do-nothing bitches. Calling either one of them that is objectively untrue for a variety of reasons. Ronda wants answers for what happened last week during the post-match beatdown. The Bellas answer saying Ronda has disrespected them and that she hasn't deserved or earned anything in professional wrestling and all this. Since they put over the word, they actually spent a good part of time in this promo putting over the word diva and like what it meant to them and what they represented as divas. They did a better job, putting over the word diva than Michael Cole did the previous week. And then, Ronda speaks for the trees. She speaks for the internet at large when she decides to go behind the curtain and kind of do the internet speak, saying the Bellas have no talent and they leached off the names of their men, they've stolen their movesets. She refers to the Bellas as smallpox, which is the only door Nikki knocked down was a door to John Cena's bedroom, which gets this big like, oh, from the audience, and it's like, yikes. Like, this kind of conversation, a lot of people online are like praising, what Ronda said on the microphone here, but I think it's the opposite is really what this earns, because this kind of conversation is exactly what the diva era, the much maligned diva era, was known for in a bad way. This is like, that's what gave the women's scene a bad name, when you're slut-shaming people and say, oh, because you slept with such and such. They tease they're going to have a confrontation, but the Bellas back away. Their local talent security team comes out, and Ronda picks all of them off. The selling on the guy at the very end, the guy with the ponytail who got picked up by Ronda and slammed down, was just phenomenal. Loved his selling. Anyway, I think this segment, like the promos did a good job painting like who's the babyface and who's the heel in this, as if we needed to know that. But the whole talk of like who slept with who to get where they are is super sleazy to me. It's like I said, it's slut shaming. It's a step backward. It runs counter to everything this women's evolution represents, because we're supposed to believe all these women stand on their own merit and they're badasses and they're empowered and all this stuff. But no, ultimately, it all goes back to the men and who the women were with of the men to get to where they were. And that's such bullshit. That just does not fly with me. It's like, over the years, you want to talk about evolution of women's wrestling. In WWE specifically, there's only been like 3 basic archetypes of storytelling and angles for women in wrestling, or at least in that company. It's either best friends or psycho bitch, or it's slut. And for a while they were really not doing the slut thing for a while, and now they bring it back here with this angle, and I don't care for it. What an odd backstage scene we have here, where Gable and Rude talk to Kurt Angle, who's all dressed for a tropical vacation for some reason. Well, it is always sunny in Philadelphia, I suppose. And then Noe Jose just comes and goes, like, hey, nice seeing you for this week, for the first time in 8 weeks on Monday Night Raw. Then Baron Corbin shows up and says, hey, Kurt, when's the last time you had a singles match? And Kurt says, 12 years. I'm like, yeah, let's just forget all that shit he did on Impact. And so then Baron makes a handicap match between Kurt and the AOP for later in the night, and Kurt doesn't have any gear, so what's he gonna wear? We get our second World Cup to determine who is the best in the world qualifier, as Dean Ambrose takes on Dolph Ziggler. Drew McIntyre gets involved in the match near the end. Seth Rollins comes out to make the save, and he tries to help Dean Ambrose up. Dean, who may or may not have been able to see who was helping him, shoves Seth away, gets back in the ring, and just eats a super kick, and Dolph wins the match and goes on to the World Cup, etc., etc. After the match, Dean and Seth start to shove each other, and Roman tries to play peacekeeper. Baron Corbin comes out once again and makes a landmark decision, a huge announcement. The main event for tonight is the never-before-seen match of The Shield versus Braun and Friends. Just kidding, it's the 3rd time we've seen it in 2 weeks. Well, you'd think there were more teams taking part in the mixed match challenge, but if the last several weeks of Raw programming is any indication, where Jinder Mahal and Alicia Fox and Finn Balor and Bayley are fighting every single week, I guess they're the only game in town. Jinder versus Finn in singles action here. Samir Singh is back, by the way. He's back with Sunil, back from his ACL tear, his totally accidental, freak accident when he tore his ACL, just powdering out of the ring several months ago on Smackdown. So it's good to see him back in action, so to speak, on this night. I always used to think that The Miz had the hardest fall from grace after losing the WWE Championship, but there is a new king in town, daddy, or should I say a new Maharaja, because God, if you just jumped into programming today and you missed all of last year, you would have no idea, looking at Jinder now, that he was a former world champion. It's baffling to me that they just don't have anything to do with him. They have nothing for this guy. Okay, fine, he might not be the greatest character in the world, but shit, if you're gonna make him this champion, at least have some kind of golden parachute, so to speak. Keep him in high profile shit, and I've said this before, but keep him in high profile shit. Let him do something of value to make him hey, still it's the same, it devalues the championship more than anything. The fact that he was a champion and now he hasn't won dick ever since then, except for 2 weeks as US champion, if that. Anyway, Finn wins the match with the coup de grace, but his music doesn't even play as Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush make their way to the ring. How wooed of them. We have Bobby Lashley versus Tyler Breeze after the break. I do enjoy the new Breezango shirt with the split screen of the face thing. I love that. The match begins with Lio making Lashley just pose in the ring for a long time. Breeze gets some moments of brilliance, but it's a squash. Lashley wins here, and Lio Rush does not say much on the microphone other than trying to chant Lashley, which is it accomplishes its goal of getting heel heat. But you could say some more stuff. You can kind of have some variety in your verbiage besides doing the Lashley chant, which does get heat when you do it enough times. But there's other things you could have said. Say some more cool shit like you did when you debuted, man. It's Hall of Famer time. Trish Stratus and Lita make their way to the ring to talk about their upcoming match against Alexa Bliss and Mickie James. Lita gets maybe 10 words in before the heels interrupt, and then Mickie and Alexa kind of do an Iconics thing where they just basically do a really shitty impression of Trish and Lita respectively. This goes forever. ever. Like, I don't know if they were drunk or what, but they were just belligerent. They were rambling on forever and ever. Trish and Lita finally cut them off, and then like they make an Allen Iverson reference from more than a decade ago about practice and everything. It's a very famous press conference moment for those of you who aren't familiar with the reference, and of course it's Philadelphia, so people did get the reference, and there was kind of a golf clap after they did that whole rant. They call the heels out, they tease that they're going to fight, but then the heels go, nah, and they walk away. It's like the exact same finish almost as the Ronda and Bellas segment, except no security staff was involved this time. You know, at least they weren't talking about who each other slept with. It's time for AOP versus Kurt Angle, or is it? There's a man in the ring in a conquistador suit who is clearly not Kurt Angle, does not have like the height or the physique or anything having to do, it looks anything like Kurt Angle, but the announcers are selling it like it is actually Kurt Angle still under the conquistador suit for the second week in a row. Like, Corey Graves is the most skeptical about it, but only until the very end does he finally raise a question about it. Cole and Renee are very much they don't want to believe that. Anyway, AOP destroy this guy. Oh, Baron Corbin is on the stage, by the way, watching all this happen. So AOP destroy Kurt Angle, and then they unmask him, and then it's clearly not Kurt Angle, and for a split second the jobber like makes direct eye contact with the lens as he was like selling. I thought that was a great little moment there. Anyway, Kurt Angle shows up from behind. He hits Corbin with the angle slam on the floor, does the conquistador dance, and that was it. What an amazing look for Kurt Angle. For a guy who's been like, who's really straddled the line over the decades as like he can be goofy or he can be a badass. And like here he is doing the angle slam to his rival while wearing a Hawaiian shirt and like sneakers and shorts and everything. That's just, it's terrific. Backstage, the Riot Squad spray ketchup and mustard all over Natalya's locker room door. What kind of weirdos are these? We then go to the next match where Ruby Riott takes on Natalya, the Condiment Queen. Natalya brings out Bayley and Sasha Banks, fresh off her injury, as backup for this matchup. It's probably one of the better matches of the night, just from a pure in-ring perspective. Sarah Logan gets involved, and the match is thrown out on a disqualification. All 6 women have a brawl. Natalya stands tall at the end. So Ruby Riott loses twice on this night. She loses via disqualification, and then she loses the post-match brawl. So great look for the Riot Squad. It's Elias time. He cuts a promo in the ring with his guitar, then he's cut off by Apollo Crews, who makes a joke saying everyone interrupts Elias, and now he figured it was his turn. Kind of a meta joke there. They have a fight. Apollo Crews wins. Apollo Crews man. The announcers could not have cared less, and honestly, neither do I, because I feel like I feel like several months ago we had Elias and Apollo Crews wrestled a lot, and then it just kind of ended, and now we're kind of doing this again? Okay. Here's that lower third again. It's the Shield versus Braun and Friends in your main event. I don't know what to say about this matchup. We've seen it, like I said, twice before already in like a week and a half. Drew accidentally takes out Strowman with the Claymore. Ambrose pins Ziggler after the triple powerbomb, and the Shield are all buddy and friends again. All that tension they spent the first 2 hours building toward is just completely evaporated with a single pinfall, and the Shield are friends again. Or are they? Anyway, as the Shield walk away, then we have our dissolvement. We have our dissolution of Braun and Friends, where Braun hits Ziggler with a power slam. Drew hits Braun again with the Claymore. So I guess no more Braun and Friends. Like they finally blew that up. And maybe now that we don't have like 2 trios fighting each other, we can finally focus on the fact that, hey, Seth is the Intercontinental Champion and Roman's the Universal Champion, and they have titles they need to defend. I don't know where this thing with Dean's gonna go, if like that whole issue of the rift is like never going to be brought up again or what, but we'll see what happens with that. It's like anything goes at this point. And like I said a week or two ago with Braun, now is really interesting because I said when that breakup of Braun and Friends happens, we will see where he lands after Crown Jewel, where it's going to be either, he's either going to stay in the hunt for a while or he's going to fall backwards. I really hope it's the former of the two. Smackdown 1000 opens with a really entertaining package looking at all the history of the show over the last 19 years with 1,000 episodes. So many cool memories there in that high package, including they show a still of the Heidenreich scene when Heidenreich has Michael Cole in like some dark room somewhere backstage and tries to sodomize him essentially. I can't believe that made the cut of this package here. The show officially opens with Truth TV back after being canceled after 1 episode. Then Stephanie McMahon appears. Then Shane McMahon appears. They have a bit of a spat. Then Vince McMahon appears. And all we need is the Small Business Administration head, Linda McMahon, to complete the set. But that's for another time. So anyway, the 3 McMahons are there. Vince calls for another dance break. They dance. That's the end of the segment. What a nothing burger of an opening segment there. It was kind of cool to see Vince on television. That was, neat. He doesn't show very often anymore. But yeah, what a pointless thing this was. First match of the night is AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan taking on the Usos. You got champion and challenger teaming up for this evening. It's a surprisingly short match. After some miscommunication by AJ and Daniel, Bryan eats a double super kick by the Usos, and the Usos win. So Daniel takes one for the team here. I can't remember the last time that the Usos actually put somebody away with a double super kick. I feel like that never worked against the New Day, for example. So it kind of is surprising to see Daniel take the fall for that move there. And there's your world title build for the week. Go watch Crown Jewel, everyone. It's time for that classic Smackdown stable. Evolution appears. Boy, Triple H has got his hands in a lot of pots, doesn't he? He's reuniting DX. He's reuniting Evolution. He's everywhere. They do kind of bury the lead, though. The fact that they really should just be advertising Batista is back on SmackDown. This Hollywood megastar. He's been involved in some of the biggest movies of the last 3 or 4 years. But nope, Evolution, package deal. Each man gets a chance to talk for a little bit. Orton surprised me the most because he strays a bit from his current psychotic character, and he's kind of reverted back to his Evolution period where he's so arrogant, kind of like the legend killer kind of thing he was doing. That took me for kind of a shock there, because I expected him to take Ric Flair's chains, twist him around his neck or something like that. And then Batista gets to talk at the end, and he was awesome. I loved his promo because he seemed very humble and thanked the fans and everything. He was making fun of the fact people called him Blue Tista and Boo Tista, and he told Rick to keep it in his pants and caused everyone to laugh in the ring. That was great stuff. And then at the end, he says, Triple H has done everything there is to do in this business except beat me. And then they have a stare down. Rick plays the peacekeeper, and then they just kind of hug it out, and that's the end of the segment. Kind of a meh way to end things, but it's definitely, I just watching this, are they planting the seeds for a Mania match down the line? I would not hate that idea if they brought Dave back for one big match against Triple H. It's okay, yeah, part-timers, whatever. It's still, I still think it'd be entertaining. We get a World Cup to determine who is the best in the world qualifying match as The Miz takes on Rusev. And the time it took me to say that, The Miz already won. Mere seconds into the matchup, Aiden English shows up and costs Rusev the match when Miz rolls him up and grabs the tights. After the match, Lana takes Aiden to Dick Kick City. Rusev beats up Aiden all around the ring, and the segment just kind of ends abruptly, mid-beatdown almost. That sure was a nice use of Kurt Angle to bring him back to do commentary for this match that lasted literally less than 30 seconds. It's time for the return of the Cutting Edge with the Hall of Famer of the same name. Edge, that is, not Cutting Edge. That was not his name. I do enjoy every time they bring Edge back for a show on SmackDown. They always bring Tony Chimel back as well on ring announcing to announce him as the Rated R Superstar. That's just great stuff. Becky Lynch is Edge's first guest. He tries to lead Becky away from the dark side, saying, don't make the same mistakes I did, Becky. Don't abandon your friends over this championship. And Becky with this great line, you're right, Edge. I don't like myself. I love myself. And then she tells Edge to get out of her ring and don't break your neck on the way out, which gets to this awesome reaction. And then Charlotte comes out to kind of defend Edge's honor. The fans still chant for Becky anyway. Charlotte and Becky have a brawl, and that's the end of the segment. Again, this kind of this action here with no real exclamation point. It just ends on this abrupt note. And that's it pretty much. SmackDown tag titles on the lineup next as the New Day defend against the Bar in a rematch from Super Showdown. They bring out Jerry Lawler and Booker T on the guest commentary table, the New Day labeled commentary table. And it's the most pointless cameo of all this entire show, which is rife with pointless cameos. And they're there and they miss their cues, they spout out generalities, they only toss to them once every couple of minutes, and they only have a 10-second window to say stuff. Jerry Lawler's half the time just lost, doesn't know what he's doing. What was the point of that? That was just it made both of them look bad. Why not just let them announce the fucking match? Anyway, the Bar start clearing off the New Day announce table when the Big Show appears. Yeah, I guess he's gonna make the save and save the New Day. No, he grabs Kofi Kingston and chokeslams him to the announce table. A good old-fashioned nonsensical heel turn just like old times. Oh, that classic SmackDown memory. The Bar, Sheamus hits Big E with the Brogue Kick, and the Bar win the match under the new SmackDown Tag Team Champions. What a completely out-of-nowhere confusing twist. Is Big Show there heavy now? Is he going to be there every week with them? Or is this going to be like Great Khali last year at Battleground where he shows up to help Jinder Mahal win and then you never see him again? Main event time. It's a World Cup to determine who is the best in the world qualifying match as Shinsuke Nakamura takes on the returning Rey Mysterio, who as of last week it was announced signed a full-time contract with WWE. Good to see him back in the fold there. I hope he stays healthy for more than a few weeks at a time, as opposed to his last last year or so in the company before he left. It's a fun little match. Mysterio wins with the 619 followed by the splash onto Shinsuke there, and so now he finishes out filling out the World Cup field. And boy, what a diverse World Cup field you have here, full of nothing but Americans. I guess Rey Mysterio is the most international of the 8 because he has like Mexican heritage and he's not white. So it's like, oh, look at this international flavor we have for this World Cup. It's so weird that they would book it that way, because you had international guys like in the tournament, so to speak. You had Drew McIntyre, you had Rusev, you had Shinsuke. You couldn't put any of those guys in this fucking thing. It's amazing. But then after he's celebrating, a wild Undertaker appears. Undertaker shows up. He gets in the ring, says maybe about a dozen words, saying DX will rest in peace. Ugh. And that's it. Like, they got him in a costume and makeup and everything, and they wheeled him out for this. Like, there's so many other ways you could have like done something with the Undertaker, and it just seemed like, yep, here it is. What was the point of that? This whole show really was a lot of what was the point. Time for me to decide which show won for the week, Raw or SmackDown. It's like choosing between drinking cod liver oil or a cup full of sweat. What do you want me to do, folks? I'm going to say neither show wins this week. It is a scoreless tie. What an awful week for programming this week on WWE. You know what? If any of you are going to be mad in the comment section that I picked a scoreless tie this week and that no show wins, are you really going to make a convincing argument to me for either show this week? What's your hill to die on? Honestly, SmackDown was the closest to win. Like, they had like some more entertaining matches and stuff, but it was just bogged down by all this bullshit. SmackDown 1000 suffered from the same problems that Raw 25 had, where they try to cram all this nostalgia into a single show while at the same time trying to hype up shit that's going on in the future. Only SmackDown has 1 hour less than Raw 25 did on the go home before the Royal Rumble. So what do you think's going to happen? So you've got this issue where you've got like a 10-second match with the Rusev and Miz. You've got, Jerry Lawler and Booker T on commentary not knowing what the hell they're doing. The Undertaker's nothing promo. The Truth TV and the McMahons and Vince's shows was everybody dance. That's all it. And like the segments all ending abruptly, no exclamation points, no time to process anything. It was just like this. It was just this breakneck thing where it's, oh my god, you're lost, you're confused. Granted, SmackDown did have the Evolution segment in particular. Batista's part was entertaining, and the cutting edge like Becky Lynch's part was okay. The New Day versus the Bar was like fun, and the finish was just like, what the fuck is that? And Rey versus Shinsuke, fun to see Rey Mysterio back. Really entertaining to see him. You know what? With Raw, it was not a good show either. Literally the only thing that I thought was entertaining about the show on Monday night was AOP versus fake Kurt Angle, and Kurt showing up and giving the Olympic slam to Baron Corbin and doing the Conquistador dance on the stage. That was the only thing that entertained me on Raw on Monday night. Everything else was like bad to worse. Like pretty much everything having to do with women on that show was just like, what were they thinking? The women's tag, and then just like the finish afterward with like this like, oh, let's do the symbolic over the top rope thing, and then have no time to process that. The Bellas and Ronda Rousey promos for what I said before about the whole thing where Ronda has to bring up the fact that Nikki Bella had sex with John Cena and that's why we should boo her. That's just such a weird thing. And I get that like that's the mentality a lot of fans have, but that doesn't make it like a valid reason to boo Nikki Bella, because she got back from a neck injury and kept wrestling. If she wanted to rest on her laurels and just basically be the woman who had sex with John Cena, she wouldn't have done any of that. And so I think it's just amazing how people will line up to tear down the Bella twins for who they sleep with and everything. And that I think is why they need to get away from that in storytelling, because that is very contradictory to what the whole Evolution is all about, like I said. And then the whole Alexa, Mickey, Trish, Lita thing that just went on forever and didn't go anywhere. I was like, oh my god, what a terrible segment that was. Jinder versus Finn for the 100th time, main event for the 100th time. Neither show delivered this week. I couldn't pick a winner. The thing was, I said when Raw 25 happened in January, I couldn't let them win for the reasons I said. All nostalgia, trying to balance nostalgia and new stuff, and couldn't pull it off. SmackDown was in the same boat, but worse and more handicapped because they had one less hour. So if I can't let Raw 25 win on the merit of Steve Austin stunning Vince McMahon in the opening segment, then I cannot have SmackDown 1000 win on the merit of whatever equivalent was that was good about the show. Let me know what you guys thought about Raw and SmackDown in the comment section below, and be sure to vote which show you thought was better, if a show was better at all, in the gimmick in the upper right hand corner of your screen. Be sure to thumbs up this video if you like it, subscribe to Wrestling with Regret, buy the t-shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com, and check out Patreon.com/WrestlingWithRegret for exclusive perks and bonus content. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.